Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Dave Rice. Thanks for being on the show, Dave.
Hi, Whitney. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm honored to have you on the show. And this is a topic that we don't get to talk about enough, or I'm not, I don't know, maybe just a few times or less on the show. So I'm excited to have you on. But Dave is the owner of REI Bookkeepers, a boutique bookkeeping firm exclusively for real estate investors. So listen up. Being real estate investors themselves for a number of years, they saw a need for knowledgeable bookkeeping professionals in this niche. His wife, Lori's background is accounting with a BS degree from the University of Wisconsin, background in small business with a BS in pharmacy also from Wisconsin. Their backgrounds, years of successful entrepreneurs convinced them to hang out their virtual shingle. I want to know more about that, but they're based in Naples, Florida, and now serve clients virtually all across the United States. So Dave, thank you again for your time being on the show. You know, you have an expertise that we all need, right? We need your help in this field. So, get us started a little more about maybe just your all's business, how you all help people in this industry, and then let's dive into some important facts about it.
Sounds great. Thanks, Whitney. We got into this in an interesting way. We've been real estate investors for 6 or 7 years now, my wife Lori and I, and after we had sold our previous business, this was kind of our next venture. And we've had some successes and some failures with it, like most honest investors have. I was actually talking to another investor that I had bumped into somewhere online, and bookkeeping came up, and I said, well, my wife Lori does that for us. She has for years. And the conversation stopped, and they said, you need to be doing this for other people. We need help with this. And we kind of looked at it and actually put a couple of notes in our LinkedIn profile, and that's when it really took off. We've found that real estate investors are typical in so many ways, typical entrepreneurs. They're good at going out and talking to people and finding deals and having those uncomfortable conversations with, sellers who are under pressure and have problems. And that's not an easy thing for people to do. But sometimes the details, the behind the scenes details, are not their forte. And almost every real estate investor will usually admit to that the details, it just escapes them. And so we felt like we have something that we've been doing for ourselves and could offer to others. And I put a couple of notes on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden we had clients. And we never really thought about the virtual aspect of this, but between cloud accounting systems and teleconferencing like you and I are right now, and email and telephone, we have clients across the country, and we know them well, and we work great together, and it just plain works. It also fits into our lifestyle. We've been self-employed forever, and I'm utterly and completely unemployable. But this works. We work when we want to, where we want to, and we can do our job and help people. And what we usually tell real estate investors is, go do what you're good at and outsource the stuff that just takes more time than you want to put into it. And so just like they outsource all kinds of other things, they outsource bookkeeping to us. And it just plain works. Almost all of our clients come from existing clients or from a few referral partners. So we're not out there actually marketing we don't have to do much marketing. We just kind of have to be there. And the business has blossomed in 2 years.
Wow. Well, Dave, I'm looking forward to this. So this is a topic that like I said, we all need to be more educated about, and we need to be most likely hiring someone like yourself to help us, with this. And I'm look forward to you telling us, more about this. But as far as outsourcing the bookkeeping, well, let's get into like, what does that look like to hire somebody like yourself? How do we work together as far as, obviously in a syndication business? What are you doing for us specifically? A lot of people use the term bookkeeping, but what is that?
Well, what it really amounts to is, as a syndicator, there are a multiple of LLCs that are typically set up. There's always two, and usually more than that, for the management and then for the owners. And there's a rather intricate way that those have to match up throughout the life of this LLC, which is typically in the range of 5 to 7 years. And so what happens is, all of the income and the expenses and the investments, the assets, the loans, all of that has to be tracked on a monthly basis so that we can report to the owners what is going on. We count on a local property management firm to actually, collect the rent and take care of repairs and all those kinds of things. We're kind of the overarching, we're not going to keep track of how much rent you collected in each apartment, but we're going to keep track of how much rent you're collecting and how much you should be collecting as a percentage of a full. And we're going to put all of that information together throughout the month. And at the end of every month, the syndication is going to get a set of financials, which is a balance sheet, which lists your assets, the things you own, liabilities, the things you owe, and the equity. And then we're also going to give a monthly profit and loss statement so that not only if money was made, but where it was made, all the expenses. We can break it out however it needs to be done. We also like to do a year-to-date profit and loss statement each month because that's important to people. We also like to do a kind of a quarterly statement because sometimes quarterlies are a little bit more meaningful than monthly statements. And the way it works virtually is we set up a unique email address with each of our clients so that all of the receipts and everything that comes in just flows to that email address throughout the month. We use Gmail because all Gmail to Gmail is encrypted. So that all comes into us. We set up and use QuickBooks Online exclusively. We set up however many LLCs we need for each syndication in QuickBooks Online. And the beauty of that is it's all in the cloud. We don't have to worry about security. We don't have to worry about backups. That's all being done by Intuit, which is a multi-billion-dollar company. And it allows us to access the books. It allows our clients to access the books. It allows their CPA to access the books. Everybody that needs that access can access it in real time. And it really makes things work. We don't have to worry about time zones and phone calls and all of that. So that in a nutshell is what we do. We're going to tell you exactly where the money is, where the money goes every month throughout the life of that syndication.
Nice. So on our end, what do we need to have set up, for you to be able to do that? I assume we need to be using QuickBooks. Is that correct?
Well, you do, but that's something we will set up for you. And in fact, we recommend that you don't set it up on your own because, I'm a pro advisor with QuickBooks and I can get a big discount, and I can pay for your QuickBooks subscription throughout the life of the time that you've hired me. It's your data, it's your subscription, but I can pay for it and I can save about 50% on the monthly cost on that. So we're happy to do that as part of our services.
Wow. Okay. So what about, that data that's, I was thinking about, our properties and the different entities that, that are owning these properties and things like that. And so you all are going to have, so we may have numerous QuickBooks accounts, for different deals and things like, for different entities that's happening. Is that something you're going to help, you're going to be doing the bookkeeping for numerous deals for these operators at one time?
We can do that, yes. Right now, we service clients all over the country, but a typical, let's say a group is put together to buy an apartment complex, and they set up one entity to purchase that property. That is typically an LLC that gets set up, and we would set up a QuickBooks account to track that. Then there's usually another entity that is set up as part of the management, because sometimes there are owners who have equity. There are other owners who might have equity based on something other than a monetary contribution. So those have to be tracked differently. And it's almost always two entities. Well, it's always two entities, and sometimes more than that. And so, and there's a delicate way that those all interact as income flows in and out of those equities for one specific property. And we're going to track all of that money flow in each of those entities, between them and among them.
Wow. And what does that communication look like? So if we're using QuickBooks or something like that, it's like you said, it's something you're logging into, we can log into. And so, I mean, so you all can work on it as you need to or when you need to, and it doesn't really, we're not having to do anything as far as that's concerned. Obviously, we're putting in a lot of information, but you all are monitoring that on the back end without ever having to communicate with us at that point. But then what are we emailing you? You mentioned, having that email account. What are we emailing you, and what does that look like?
Well, what we do, and might be a little bit different with a syndication than some of our smaller real estate investors. But one of the things that QuickBooks is really capable of is we can actually attach receipts and even HUD statements to specific transactions. And the beauty of that is, as we build a set of books, all of those, in essence, all of the proof, the receipts can be attached right to those transactions, so that if an auditor would have to look at that, or if a member wants to see exactly what has been happening, we can prove what's happened here. And the way QuickBooks operates is, we have bank feeds and that just connect right into it. So we literally get the bank information almost real time. It's within about 24 hours. And so we're following all that money flow in and out, and then we're figuring out what has happened based on the information that our client provides. So, there are all kinds of regular monthly expenses that go on with maintaining an apartment complex, and we're going to track all of that, and we get to know over the months what exactly is going on. And we'll attach any receipts that are sent to us. That's optional, but we will, we're happy to do that. And as far as the actual syndicators, they don't ever have to access QuickBooks for anything. We're going to provide all of the reporting on a monthly basis. I like to tell my clients, it's your data. I want you to be able to access. I don't want you to go in and make any entries, because that's our job. But I want them to be able to understand that they can go in and pull reports on almost anything. If they want to know, how much are we spending on marketing? They can certainly call me, but they can also go into their accounts and they can see, how much are we spending on marketing? How much are we collecting on rent? How much is it costing us in evictions every month? All these kinds of things are all available in QuickBooks. And the way it's set up is, we set the account up, but we have accountant access to it. It's always the client's books. It's their books. It's their data. And we make that very clear. We want to make sure that it is their data and that they own it.
How do we know that we are, working with like a qualified bookkeeper like yourself? How do we, if we're looking for somebody that's a bookkeeper or that service, how do we know that we're working with somebody that's a qualified?
Well, it's interesting in bookkeeping. I've worked in a number of regulated industries, and frankly, bookkeeping is a little bit the wild, wild west. Anybody can say that they're a bookkeeper. There's no real qualifications necessary. It's really just experience. And so we just sit back and say, okay, I can give you plenty of referrals of other clients who we've worked with. They're all real estate investors. Those are the only clients that we take. But the main thing that we have over most bookkeepers is, my wife, Lori, she actually has a bachelor's degree, as you mentioned, in accounting, and she understands the theory of what we're doing. I can make most of the entries, but Lori understands the theory. And what often happens to us when we take on a new client's books, they're a mess. No one ever calls us up and says, hey, everything's great, can you take it over? Well, they might say that, but that's never the case. And so we often are given a puzzle that we have to kind of unsort and put back into place. And that's where Lori's expertise comes in. She's just really, really good at seeing that puzzle and seeing where things go. And like I say, I give her all the credit in the world for it. She's brilliant at it. And that's where we are. But to be honest, like I say, anyone can say that they're a bookkeeper.
Okay, so we need to, I guess, talk to numerous people or just call you, right?
That's right.
So how can we be more prepared with our books? How can we make sure our books don't look like the ones you're talking about that are a mess? What are some things we should be doing on our side to make sure that they're as organized and prepared as possible?
Well, I like to tell people, even if you're not ready to hire someone like me, there's a few things that you can do so that you can really be prepared. And there's a couple of ththings that go into that. We want to make sure, first and foremost, that all of your expenses and income are going in and out of a business account. It's absolutely vital that your business expenses and income are separate from your personal income, separate from your personal accounts. If you want, it's just extremely important. And the next part that's really important is if you have multiple LLCs, like the typical syndicator, it's really important that those expenses and income are kept separate. It's just really important for bookkeeping, and it's also important legal-wise, because the whole idea of keeping business books separate from personal books and keeping businesses separate is that if you don't do that and there's a legal issue, the legal eagles out there can come in and say that you're not operating as a business, and there goes the corporate veil. And that's what we're working hard to prevent. We want to make sure that if things are done correctly, that you're operating like a proper business, like it should be. So that's why we stress that so much. So we want to make sure that separate books for each entity, keep the business out of it. We also suggest that people set up a couple of email addresses, and all of those receipts and everything that you are always getting via email now, if you don't know what to do with them at the moment, put them in a folder. Put them in an email folder and save them. And you can even break them down by vendor or by month or however you like to do it, but get them all somewhere. Because if all that information is somewhere, at some point, somebody like me can come in and unsort that. It's when all the information isn't even there that we have to really dig and ask a ton of questions and sometimes make assumptions that we don't like to make. So it's just a matter of being organized at the start, and then let a real bookkeeping professional put it all together for you down the road.
So what about those receipts? Should we be keeping all receipts, or should we be, is there some specific types of expenses that we need to be keeping receipts for? Which ones are good to keep or throw away?
Well, this is a little bit of a sticky subject. We're happy to save receipts for everybody, for every business expense that they have. And it is a bit of a nuisance, but the honest answer is it's up to the client whether they want to keep receipts. But if they ever get audited, that's what the IRS is going to ask for. And for that reason alone, we highly recommend it. And that's the beauty of it. Once we can take that receipt and turn it into an electronic attachment on their QuickBooks file, they're done with it. They don't have to worry about it anymore. It's there permanently. And really, every business expense, if you really want to get technical about it, every business expense needs to have a receipt that is saved and attached. That's the ideal world. We know that we don't always live in the ideal world. We keep track as best we can. But the more records and receipts that are kept, the better off the business will be if that horrible time ever comes when they have to prove their income or their expenses.
Okay, so it's not just some of them. We should be keeping all of them some way, but it makes sense that, just the way everything is electronic now, if we could just take a picture of it and attach it somehow or send it even to ourselves and put it in a folder or however, as long as we have those, right? Even then, if we did it right away, it could even be in date order.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what we tell our clients. We say, at the very least, everybody's got a phone with a camera. Take a picture of the receipt and email it to us, and now you're done with it. But before we get involved, take a picture of it and email it to yourself. And that's exactly how it starts. Those last forever, and they don't take up much space. And that's an ideal way to keep all that, because even if that was, if you had to go back and dig through those someday, that's still easier than the alternative, which sometimes is, people literally having to go back to vendors in the past and saying, I think I bought something in June. I don't know what it was, but I think I did. And how in the world are you going to find that stuff? It's just, it's really crazy not to nowadays, that everything is so available to us electronically. We're happy to keep it and make sure that it's there forever.
What's the hardest part of this bookkeeping process, especially working with syndicators and real estate investors?
The hardest part is, keeping up to date. We want to be up to date as much as possible all the time. We're in all of our clients' books at least once a week. And the hardest part is when there is information that we need is, getting them to send it to us. We can't guess. And, we learn fast when we see things get repeated, from the same vendors and all that. That's pretty easy to figure out. But we learn fast. But there are just enough things that happen out there that we need answers for. And typically our clients, about once a week, they'll receive an email from us with a list of questions. Usually it's only just a few, sometimes it's more, but we'll say, we had this expense on this day, went to this vendor, or sometimes we don't even know the vendor. What happened here? Or we have a deposit, we have a cash deposit, $5,000. What happened here? Those are the kind of questions that we ask, because like I say, we can't guess. And we're very good at what we do, but we can't read anybody's minds. And those are the kind of answers that we get. So, and most clients are really good about it. And it's kind of a training process with us, with our clients is, once they understand that this is important to them, that the reason that they hired us, then they're much better about getting information to us. We try not to be too intrusive, but usually about once every week or so, or maybe every 2 weeks, there's enough questions that we like to get settled. I told one client one day, I said, I'm really good at nagging people. And he said, well, I'm good at being nagged. So we get along just fine.
Good. Yeah. You're right. You can't guess. So we've got to send this information to you, right? That's why they're hiring you anyway.
That's right. So the quicker we can get it off their plate and onto our plate, and they can get back thinking about the next deal or what they've got to do to keep this deal alive. They're looking for the next partner, the next money partner, a lot of much larger decisions that are more important than the bookkeeping. We're happy to be in the background and take care of something behind the scenes.
Awesome. Okay. And anything else about bookkeeping before we change gears, Dave, that you would really like to tell the listeners?
Well, all I'll say is that we're truly blessed with the clients that we've built up over the last couple of years, and we found that most people in small businesses just never got the basic financial background and education that they truly need. I think that's something that's still lacking in our schools, and clients are sometimes embarrassed to say to me, well, you said that's an asset. What does that mean? And we're happy to explain the basics of what they're going to see in the financial statements. And in fact, one of the things that I do every month with every single one of my clients, we go through their books every month. We send them a financial statement, and then we go through it line by line if necessary to make sure they understand what's going on. And usually after a few months, then it's just a question here and there. But I'm always amazed at, like I say, people are sometimes embarrassed, but it's okay. We're here to help, and we're here to help you learn and understand. You've got a business going, and the financials are the lifeblood of the business. You need to understand what's happening here. We're happy to make our contribution.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us would be embarrassed by our books, the way they're kept, or, waiting till the last minute to try to get all this stuff together, right? And make sure we got all our receipts in order. But Dave.
That's right. And we often get, I'm sorry, we often get, in September, October, when people are starting to get desperate to get taxes filed, we get a lot of new clients in, unfortunately.
I bet you do. What about, going back so far? If I gave all my books to you, how far would you go back, or how far would we need to, or would we just start from today and go forward?
We almost always go back to at least the beginning of the year. And what we like to, often part of our interview is when were your taxes last filed? If your taxes have been filed, let's say through 2018, then we're not going to go back and worry about 2018. That's done and gone. But when we take on clients in the middle of the year like this, we really have to go back to the beginning of the year and get things right so that the whole year is correct. And that's really important, and that's often painful for people because there's a cost associated with that, but it's just plain necessary. If you want to be able to, A, know how your business is doing, and B, be able to file and pay taxes, we have to have complete books for the year. So we'll go back. I mean, we've gone back as far as 3 years with clients who have just called and said, I haven't done anything for 3 years. I don't know where to start. And we start with them and work their way back. And I mean, I've got clients right now that are just now filing taxes in 2017. So it does happen. We're willing to do it. It's a lot of work, but somebody has to do it in order to get things right. You're never going to be correct going forward until it's right. So I sometimes use the analogy that if you've had a car that you haven't serviced for a long time, it may cost a little more than you like to get things back up to snuff. And that's what we do. We'll get your books back up current, and then we're going to keep the pressure on staying current and staying accurate going forward.
Nice. So Dave, what's a way that you have improved your business lately that we can apply to ours?
How have we improved our business? Well, we're using less and less paper all the time. That's a great thing. I'm truly amazed. I'm the older generation from you, Whitney, but we came from a paper and pen background, and I've been amazed at more and more of the technology that I use in my business and that I can recommend, that my clients go to. I mean, I have clients who run a large businesses from a cell phone, and so we're embracing the technology as quickly as we can learn it, and it speeds up. The world has sped up because of technology, and we've had to speed up to keep up with it. So I guess that's where I would put my emphasis.
Nice. And what's one thing that's contributed to your success, Dave?
Well, we've always been hard workers, and we've had some successes, and we understand that it's a matter of, this is a relationship business just like anything else. And one of the things I always tell clients is, this is a difficult decision to turn over something as personal as your business finances to somebody you don't know. And we take that responsibility very, very seriously. We're happy to do it. We never discuss business with other clients, obviously. All of that is really, truly sacred to us. But we've found a niche that fits our lifestyle, frankly. And that's been the best thing about this.
Nice. And so how do you like to give back, Dave?
Well, we've got a couple ways that we've given back, Whitney. You and I have something pretty special in common. We've just recently found out we have 2 adopted grown children who we adopted from Korea when they were infants. They're now 31 and 34, and I couldn't be prouder of anything in my life than my 2 kids. My daughter is an officer in the United States Coast Guard. She lives in Washington, D.C., has a great career. My son is a retired Army Ranger infantry officer, spent 2 years overseas, 2 difficult years for us overseas. They made our lives. They really did. Sorry, I get choked up. Our son actually is married, lives here in Naples, actually just a few miles from us, which was a real shock to us when that happened. And they have They have a daughter and another one on the way, and they are the new lights of our lives. I can't imagine anything greater than being grandparents now. So that's been a really big part of our life. And when it happened, it was a very, very big deal to us. The other kind of interesting facet where we feel like we can give back, we're members of an interesting church here in Naples. It's the largest outdoor congregation in the country. We don't have a building. We meet in a park in downtown Naples every Sunday. Myself and a number of other people and my wife Lori, we actually build a church every Sunday morning at 7:30. We put up between 500 and 2,500 chairs. We build a whole hospitality area. We put all of it up and have our service and take all of it down. And that's where we feel our contribution is most felt throughout our community.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Dave. Obviously, we're very passionate about adopting children as well. And thank you for doing that. And thank you for connecting and sharing that way. And the outdoor congregation, that's interesting. That's definitely unique, but something I'd love to learn more about. But you've been a great guest, Dave. I really appreciate you elaborating on the importance of bookkeeping and your all services and what that looks like to work with somebody like yourself. And then, tell the listeners, though, obviously, it's very important. How do we get in touch with you?
Well, we have a website, and it's reibookkeepers.com. That's reibookkeepers.com. And all of our contact information is in there. You can go in, and there's a contact form in there. Our phone number is in there. We have some testimonials from existing clients in there. That's where you'll find out everything you need about us, and we're happy to answer questions and talk.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.